Good y'all. Welcome back to another NBA video for today, man. Shout out to my Giant Arnett with the video. All credit goes to him. How good was John Stockton? Really, also one of the greatest point guards of all time, one of the best passers of all time. He even had a 28 assist game 1 year, I think, against the Spurs in the playoffs. It's absolutely terrific. May have to check that out as well, man. Looking forward to it, man. Let's go ahead and get started with the video. Don't forget to start the video and stuff. So if you are new to the channel, let's just start it up, man. John Stockton. Now listen, I know recently, past few years, he said some, like what you got going on, but in this day, man, I never watched John Stockton. I wasn't, I was young, because I don't really remember too much. But anyway, let's go and get started, man. I see highlights. I see the highlights, man. Gotta see the highlights. Go and check him out, man. Johnny Stockton.
So there are 5 major statistical categories in basketball. There's
Golly, Russ.
rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. And this player by far is the all-time leader in not one, but 2 of those statistical categories. John Stockton.
Oh yeah, he's up there in steals as well.
Over 3,700 assists over second place on the all-time list, which is Jason Kidd. To put that in context, Russell Westbrook leads the NBA in assists this past season with a total of 784. That means that Stockton has a lead greater than 4 league-leading seasons of assists. No one else is even close. Stockton also has a lead of nearly 600 steals over second place on the all-time list, which again is Jason Kidd.
Golly.
Paul George led this season in steals with 170, meaning Stockton has a lead of nearly 4 league-leading seasons of steals. He was arguably the greatest passer in NBA history and was an all-time tenacious defender, yet for some reason, John Stockton's name is not brought up much when discussing the greatest point guards of all time. This simply shouldn't be the case. He was a 10-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA team, 5-time All-Defensive team, and an Olympic gold medalist as part of the 1992 Dream Team. John is also 6th all-time in career win shares, which makes him the highest point guard on that list, ahead of the likes of Magic Johnson and Oscar Robertson. John was an Iron Man and the model of consistency for many years.
And what a finish that is.
The best ability is availability, and John certainly had that. He played a total of 1,504 games, and he only missed a total of 23 of those games due to injury.
Wow.
In Stockton's 19 years as a point guard of the Utah Jazz, there was not a single season they missed the NBA playoffs. In a minimum of 400 games, John Stockton is one of only 2 players in NBA history.
Hold up. 19 seasons and never missed the playoffs. That is amazing. That is freaking amazing. 19 seasons and you never miss the playoffs. But you don't have a ring to show for it because of freaking Mike.
To average over
but
10
still
assists for his career, and the other being Magic Johnson. Of the 6 highest total assist seasons in NBA history, John Stockton has 5 of them. To even further examine how great and unrecognized John's remarkable career was, take a look at this comparison. At the end of the 04-05 season, the Phoenix Suns starting point guard Steve Nash was named the MVP of the league with averages of 15.5 points, 11.5 assists, 3.3 rebounds, 1 steal on 50.2% shooting. John Stockton was never named league MVP. Yet in the 87-88 season, he had a seemingly more productive season than Nash's with 14.7 points, 13.8 assists, 2.9 rebounds, 3 steals, on an insanely efficient 57.4% shooting.
Golly!
The following season, he averaged 17.1, 13.6, 3 rebounds, 3.2 steals, and 53.8%. And the season after that, 17.2, 14.5, 2.6, 2.7, on 51.4%. And
Man was averaging 12, 13, 14, 15 assists per game consistently. I think the highest now is Halliburton. I think Halliburton's getting like 10 or 11. This dude's getting 15.
And the season after that, 17.2, 14.2, 2.9, 2.9 on 50.7% shooting. I could go on. but I think you get the point. Stockton had a career full of MVP caliber seasons, yet he was never recognized as the league's MVP. So just what exactly caused John Stockton to be so overlooked historically? Why is it that he was the all-time leader in assists and steals, consistently put up MVP caliber numbers, and yet is still rarely mentioned when considering who is the greatest point guard of all time?
He's up there.
I think there is a few reasons for this.
No rings.
For one, John Stockton was a reserved personality who played in a small market, so naturally he didn't garner as much media attention. Before there was Tim Duncan, there was John Stockton. I'm talking about NBA legends who, despite their incredible abilities, were less recognized in the spotlight due to their quiet and reserved personalities in smaller markets. The second reason, whether it's fair or not, is that when speaking about NBA legacies, in the eyes of the general public, nothing validates a legacy quite like an NBA championship. And unfortunately, John Stockton never got one. Think of Dirk Nowitzki and his championship with the Mavericks in 2011. It was that series and that championship that the perception of Dirk changed. From simply an elite player to an all-time great.
Right.
That series, when they succeeded over LeBron and the Miami Heat in 2011, cemented his legacy. Nothing can change the fact that Dirk is an NBA champion, and now he is a legend that will never be forgotten or overlooked, like he might have been if he had not won that championship. Then there are players like Charles Barkley in the 90s and Dominique Wilkins
He don't have one.
who, despite being statistically dominant and elite players throughout their careers, just don't get the same credit and recognition when discussing the greatest players of all time.
That's the only thing I feel like I don't really like about the whole ring talk stuff like that is because when it gets to, I know like it's a lot of people like standing ground in certain situations. Like Chris Paul, for example, he made it to the finals, but they lost against the Bucks. But Chris Paul still one of the greatest point guards of all time. But because he ain't got that ring, he's, you know. I mean, who would you compare, Chris Paul or John Stockton? Who would you pick? Who'd you pick, Steve Nash or John Stockton or Chris Paul? All three don't have rings, but they've all had hella great careers. Also, I do feel like the ring talk can be a tad overrated because, like, I think, you know, if you want to go off that, obviously you're going to say, well, Robert Horry has 7 rings, so he's one of the greatest players of all time. No, he was a role player. You have, you know, Bill Russell, he has like 11. Is he the greatest player of all time? No, but he's one of the greatest centers of all time. So, it's been hella great players that haven't won a ring that deserve a lot more attention, man. A lot more attention.
Unfortunately, Stockton also falls into this category. Although he never won an NBA championship, he was close in 97 and 98, but the Jazz ran into arguably the greatest NBA team ever in the finals, the Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman Chicago Bulls. Stockton was a championship caliber player, but he spent all of his years playing faithfully for the Jazz who drafted him.
Yeah.
John didn't have the luxury of having multiple Hall of Famers by his side like Magic Johnson did.
Ain't nobody tried to
Stockton
come to
only
Utah.
had one Hall of Famer in his career, which was Karl Malone. And thirdly, Stockton is less recognized because he simply wasn't flashy. John was known for consistently making the right basketball play, but that didn't always mean it was the more entertaining one.
I don't really care if you're not flashy. I mean, if you come in and you get the job done, man, that's all I care about. If I was a coach, I mean, that's all I care about, man. Come in, you making plays. You ain't gotta, you know, drop 55 every game.
Like Magic was, and he certainly wasn't playing above the rim like Jordan was.
But he was still a great
In
point
fact,
guard.
Even when the Jazz highlights were being shown, it was his teammate, Karl Malone, who was the one finishing the highlight above the rim. John simply went about his job, quietly filling up the stat sheet on both sides of the court.
Right.
When he announced his retirement from basketball, there was no tribute video, no farewell tour, or even the customary press
He probably didn't
conference.
want that.
Nope, he simply and quietly released a statement in the 2003 offseason. As overlooked as he has been, his resume simply can't be denied, solidifying him as one of the greatest point guards of all time.
And deserved it.
Those of you who like to use a player's longevity and accumulative statistics to make your GOAT comparisons, for example, those of you who believe LeBron James is the greatest of all time, based on his high rankings and statistics, I have to ask, where have you been when it comes to ranking the greatest point guards of all time? Because Stockton is the clear number one based on that standard. I'm not necessarily saying that John Stockton is the greatest point guard ever, but he certainly has an argument that is rarely acknowledged and hopefully This video sheds light on some of the credit his terrific career deserves. If there is a somewhat current player I could compare John Stockton to, I would say John resembles a prime Rondo. They were both incredibly unselfish and had incredible vision and basketball IQ. Defensively is where John separated himself, though. He was a more sneaky and frustrating defender, and he was also a much better three-point shooter. Let me know in the comments section where you think John Stockton ranks among the greatest point guards of all time. Thanks for watching my video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos.
Hell of a video. Great video. When Stockton's he's top 5. He is. I mean, but there's been so many great point guards, man. There's just so many great point guards. You know, Chris Paul, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson. I mean, you name it, a team has had a great point guard, man. I'm probably missing a few more. That's just how many great point guards there have been. But John Stockton deserves a lot more credit than what I've originally felt about him. I always knew he was a great player. I always knew he was a Hall of Famer. But his stats, you know, scoring 14, averaging 15, over 50% shooting. Dude shot, I think he shot 56% from the field 1 year. Dude was like, what, 6 feet? If that. Hell of a player. John Stockton, man. Dude was good. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to like the video and sub as well as always. Stay safe. Talk to you guys later, man. Peace.